Her laugh didn't just echo, it shimmered. I remember standing in that swarm of bodas at the downtown street food festival, holding a cardboard tray of dumplings that cost way too much when I heard it. That laugh like something soft dropped onto concrete, unexpected, real. I turned. Saw her, Celeste Maris, standing in front of a bao bun stand, mid-conversation with the vendor, teasing him over something. Her dark curls were pinned loosely, bouncing every time she moved. And her eyes were the kind that stayed on your mind after the moment passed. I don't know why I walked over. I wasn't the type to interrupt or intrude. But something about her made the air feel different, so I did. I smiled. Said something stupid. Are those dumplings worth the line, or just good-looking from a distance? She looked at me like I'd been there all along. Depends. Are you one of those people who put sriracha on everything? That was the first flicker of something that felt like home. We sat on a concrete step while the city buzzed around us, shared dumplings and traded slivers of our lives like trading cards. I told her I was a freelance architectural designer, half artist, half stressed out spreadsheet junkie. She told me she was a nurse, third shift mostly, had dreams of opening a wellness clinic for underserved neighborhoods. She wasn't trying to impress me. That was the part that got me. She was grounded, she had opinions. She knew what she wanted. And somehow, even in a city full of stories being written every second, ours began right, their greasy fingers and all. The months that followed were warm in ways that didn't come from weather. We built a rhythm, midnight calls, grocery runs that turned into dance breaks in aisle 6. The first time she met my friends, they said, "She gets you." And for once, I believe someone did. She brought color to corners of my life I didn't even know were gray. Introduced me to her family early. Verena, her mother, with sharp eyes and sharper words. Clark, quiet and polite. Sloan, younger and cocky, who spoke in hashtags and sarcasm. But they welcomed me, or pretended to. I remember Verena gripping both my hands after dinner, her wedding ring glinting like a badge of authority, saying, "It's good to see a man who knows what commitment looks like." I should have known then that she wasn't complimenting me. She was testing me. The proposal was my idea, but she made it feel like a collaboration. I took her to the rooftop of the old gallery building where I used to sketch cityscapes before deadlines buried my creativity. The skyline looked exactly how we talked about, twinkling, expansive, like it was applauding its own brilliance. I had the ring in my pocket, knees aching from crouching too long in my office all day, palms sweating like a rookie. When I asked her to marry me, she didn't gasp, she didn't cry. She just said, "Took you long enough," and kissed me like it was the first time. That night we celebrated with her family. Champagne, balloons, Verena gave a toast like she'd been waiting for the mic to rustle. "To Russell," she said, raising her glass with that glossy smile of hers. "Who sees what we've always seen in our daughter: strength, grace, and a future." Sloan clapped like he was hyping up a concert. Clark nodded his approval and gave me a stiff hug. It was overwhelming, but not in a bad way. I felt like I'd been accepted into something real, something that would expand my life instead of shrinking it. Back then, I didn't understand that not all families expand your world. Some just absorb you into theirs. The wedding was stunning. Verena had opinions. Of course, no pastel flowers. They photographed poorly. Absolutely no buffet stations. We're not hosting a block party. But I chalked it up to enthusiasm. Celeste seemed to float above it, all calm, beautiful, her hands always finding mine when I felt adrift. Our vows were simple. She said, "You calmed the storm I didn't know I had." I said, "You see the parts of me I never knew how to name." And we meant every word. For a while, married life was sweet, comfortable, even. Celeste kept nursing. I worked from home. Contracts came in, and I kept the lights on with a balance of artistry and survival mode. Our condo paid off, and perched perfectly above Lakeshore Drive became our sanctuary. Sunday mornings with French press coffee and throw blankets. Lazy Saturdays with takeout and reruns. We even started planning a baby name list, just for fun, we told ourselves. But every time I said Ixadai, she smiled a little longer than she meant to. Like she could see her already, what I didn't see then. What I only recognize now in brutal hindsight is how closely Celeste's smile mirrored her mother's, how often her suggestions mirrored Sloane's needs. How many times I said yes, not because I agreed, but because I didn't want to disrupt what looked like harmony. That's the dangerous thing about surface peace. It tricks you into ignoring the storm building beneath it. I held on to the version of us that met over dumplings. The version that talked late into the night about purpose and kindness and building something better. I didn't realize how much of that version I was carrying alone. Celeste still touched my hand the same way. Still laughed at my dumb jokes. Still wore the pendant I got her on our first anniversary. But slowly, subtly, I became a background character in the narrative. Her family was scripting, helpful, agreeable, silent. Still, I didn't pull back. I leaned in, loved harder, offered more, because I believed that was the currency of real marriage, sacrifice and support. And maybe it is when both people are spending equally, but when one side just keeps collecting, eventually the balance breaks. And looking back now, it all started with a laugh at a dumpling stand, a laugh that sounded like freedom, a laugh I mistook for forever. Family, Russ, and he's in danger. She reached for me then. I stepped back. What kind of help are you asking for? I said, though I already knew. Verena pulled a manila folder from her bag, set it gently on the coffee table like it was a guest. Sell the condo. It's already appreciated in value. You're sitting on more than what's needed. Just like that, not a suggestion, a command. I stared at the folder, then back at her. Then at Celeste, whose hands now trembled in her lap. You want me to sell our home, I said slowly, to cover your brother's gambling debt? Celeste nodded, barely. It's temporary. Just enough to get the collectors off his back. We can rent somewhere else for a while, rebuild. I laughed. I didn't mean to. But it came out sharp, sudden, hollow. You want me to give up the only thing I fully own, the place where our daughter sleeps, because your brother, who hasn't held a steady job in his life, decided to act like he was born in a Martin Scorsese movie? Celeste flinched. Verena didn't. You don't really have a choice, Verena said smoothly, with a smile that made my skin crawl. If they come after Sloane, they come after all of us. And if you love your daughter, you'll do what's necessary to keep her safe. There it was. The implication, not even subtle. A threat, wrapped in motherly concern. Something inside me shifted then. Not snapped. Crystallized. I looked at Celeste, who wouldn't meet my eyes. I looked at the woman who had dominated every inch of our marriage, like it was a real estate acquisition. I looked at that folder like it was the final act in a long play I never auditioned for. I need to think, I said. There's nothing to think about, Verena replied.